into this. Yeah, Doc gotta put Doc under the microscope here and his teams. Like I said, yo, always start out the stream with that yo. But I will say this. I think this is a good still right here. I think Doc um is overrated. I will go off and say that. But I think a lot of the blame shouldn't just be put on him. I think a good measure of blame should be put on the players as well. And the reason why is because we look at some of the teams that he coached and how short they came up. Like, for instance, one of my favorite players of all time, Tracy McGrady. This man never was the leading guy for his team to get out of the playoffs. And to be honest, Tracy McGrady is probably one of the most overrated uh, superstars in NBA history. Yeah, I said it. He's one of the most overrated superstars in NBA history. He never could get his team out of the. I mean, he couldn't even get his team out of the first round. You know, but I was surprised the Bucks signed, got rid of Adrian Griffin, and decided to bring Doc in. And the reason why is because they they were winning. I thought they were doing pretty good with where they were standing or whatever as far as their record. It's not like they're the eighth seed or anything like that. I think they're top three in the East. But just Damian Lillard, man. I'm sorry, like Damian Lillard is overrated. Like he offensively, he's a sniper. He can shoot the three, take guys out the dribble, pull up, all that stuff. Good finisher at the rim. Good, good at the cup. You know, really good at the pick and roll and all that stuff or whatever. Um, Somewhat of a decent passer. He kind of telegraphs his passes a lot. Um, Defense, I mean, he plays no defense at all whatsoever, and that's always been his Achilles heel. Even when he came out of, I think he came out of Weber. Ever since he came out of college, he was just terrible defensively. Always been terribly defensively. Now, since the Bucks lost certain games or whatever the past couple games, I haven't really been keeping super close eyes on what's been going on or whatever as far as the NBA. Because I'm been my last video, like I said, I've been kind of turned off with the NBA, but I most likely will watch the playoffs. But um, what I don't know what Dame. Hold on, I don't know what Dame is gonna do. Yeah, yeah, bro. Oh, what the hell? Um, I don't know what they're gonna do as far as Dame defensively because you're gonna need Dame in order to stop certain players and stuff like that. I mean, he's got to be able to hold his ground. I think Drew Holiday was uh, probably like the best player. Well, not best player, but the best option for them to have in that position. You know what I mean? So, but Doc, I don't know. I think Doc is going to do a choke job like he always does. And, c- can we blame him? I mean, part of the blame is on him because I think he makes pretty bad adjustments down the stretch, especially when players aren't performing well. Like I was watching the stream with or listening to the stream with Ticket TV, and JJ Redick was talking about how Doc basically was a choke artist and all that stuff or whatever. But quiet as kept, JJ Redick was a choke artist though too. That man did not play good down the stretch of certain games or whatever. You know what I mean? And like one game he played like 40 something minutes and he had, like 30 something percent shooting or something crazy like that. And of course, JJ Redick can never play defense, ever. You know what I mean? And honestly, I'm surprised the Clippers kept him on the team as long as they did or whatever. I would have traded him for somebody that was somewhat of a decent shooter or whatever like that, but somebody that's better defensively for sure. Because that dude, terrible defensively. He's like he's like a poor man's Damian Lillard. And I mean that's really saying something, right? But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if the Bucks are gonna win the championship. I don't know. It depends. Like I'm gonna say this, right? Like if Doc can't win a chip with the Bucks the way how they're constructed right now, with Chris Middleton, um, Giannis, the Greek Freak, and Damian Lillard, and they can't be like at least go to the Eastern. They can't go to the NBA Finals. They, I don't know. I would fire him. Because I don't think he can really get the maximum amount of players. You know what I mean? But then on the other hand, like I said, how much blame can we really put on him? Because the players got to go out there and execute, especially if you're a veteran and all that. Like, you got to go out there and execute at your best, do the best that you can do or whatever like that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think some of the critique on him has been a little harsh, but I just think a lot of players kind of tune him out, and honestly, it's this generation where a lot of these players are entitled, and you know what I mean. They don't want to hold themselves accountable. I mean, shit, Doc is getting you through the playoffs. Doc is getting you opportunities for you to shine. Doc is giving you the playoff, the playing time or whatever. It's like James Harden, man. Like James Harden, he's another one. Like can't get it done, just overrated. Um, just worried about his own stats and stuff like that. Can't play defense. Tracy McGrady. I mean, McGrady could score. He was pretty good defensively early in his career, but he had to take on a lot of the offensive load, so he wasn't really locked down like he was when he first played in Toronto, maybe the first couple years in Orlando. But he's another one choke artist. Uh, CP3 choke artist. Bad down the stretch. Bad in the clutch as far as executing. And like CP3, like he'll get these like freak injuries, like a pulled hamstring in Game 7 or something like that in the Western Conference Finals or the semifinals or something, and then he's out, for the rest of the damn series or whatever. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I got this video up, and this is one channel I've been following for a while. It's called Basketball Breakdown. Shout out to them or whatever. But they talked about Doc about almost a year ago when he got fired by the 76ers. And I think Harden had a lot to do with that. And I think Embiid probably was a little turned off by Doc as well. Because Doc will do a lot of yelling and shit at the players. Why the fuck you ain't, Doc is like, why the fuck you ain't set that screen? Why you ain't blocking it? Why you ain't doing this? Why you ain't crashing the boards? Ah, da, da. He got that real crazy ass voice and shit. And I think the players just kind of tune him out. Like, man, dude, you ain't never won shit, So, but I don't know, man. Like a great coach. And here's the thing, right? Because this is like a devil. This is like me being devil's advocate, Like I'm not playing the 50, but I'm just like has a lot of nuance to it. Like a great coach is gonna understand his personnel and understand what he has in front of him, and he's gonna maximize that to get them to overachieve or achieve their goals. But the players have to buy in, you know. So it's a double edged sword, Like him being in charge of the troops, they're always gonna look at you as being as far as you being a coach. If you're in charge of your troops and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, then of course they're gonna be like, all right, well, we gotta get this dude out. We gotta get him the fuck up out of here. So all right, here we go. We're gonna get into this. I ain't gonna play the whole video, but we're gonna just start off with this joint.
It might have surprised a lot of people that Doc Rivers was fired yesterday. But if you listen closely enough to some sound bites, there were subtle hints being dropped.
Ball to get to you. Does the coach call plays to try to get the ball to you?
Yes, course, sir.
Yeah, see, James Harden, he's one of those dudes that never want to be held accountable, and he gets frustrated. And he was horrific in that series against Boston. He was trash.
Been with Doc, and what you want to see him back?
Now, Duke and our relationship is okay. It's not what I want to say, but yeah, it's frustrating.
James Harden was not
Yeah,
all
it's the
that
coach's
supportive
fault, not
of
your
Doc
fault. But
Rivers
you
in his press.
see, that's the thing that pisses me off with Harden so much. Like it's never his fault. You know, he came into camp overweight, out of shape, just a fat slob. You know, eating Philly cheesesteaks and shit. But he wants to blame the fucking coach. Dude, you need to come in the you need to come into camp in tip top shape. You know, you're s- superior athlete, and you need to hold yourself accountable, bro. It's nobody's fault but yourself.
Conference yesterday, one person said it would be hard for me to see James wanting to come back and play for Doc again.
This has been
Yeah,
a
it's
subject
that
I've wanted to
bullshit,
explore for some time. How good a coach is Doc Rivers? He won Coach of the Year award in his very first year with the Magic, leading a malformed roster of misfits to a 500.
bro. That lineup was crazy. Yo, this man had Bo Outlaw, who couldn't shoot, Ben Wallace, who couldn't shoot, John Amici, he was okay, I guess. Ron Mercer, like, who was like basically a journeyman, and Daryl Armstrong. He took this team. He might have took that team to the playoffs back in the day. That's nuts, yo. Oh my
Record with a
god,
win improvement of 8 games, beating out two other coaches who appeared to squeeze a lot more out of their teams.
My Orlando team was the HC. No one gives me credit for being
okay, yeah. So that team didn't make the playoffs. They were the eighth seed. Yo, that's crazy. Yo, Outlaw couldn't shoot himself out of a wet paper bag. Neither could Ben Wallace. Man, times have changed now. Like, I mean, that was just like a real heavy defensive error as far as basketball or whatever like that. Yo, that's yo, that is crazy. He took that team to the eighth seed. So I guess Daryl Armstrong. I'm at to go look that up. So I guess Daryl Armstrong must have been like the leading scorer for that team. I guess. Wow.
against the Pistons who won the title. That was an HC. Go look at that. I want you to go back and look at that roster.
Yikes.
I dare you to go back and look at that roster, and you would say, what a hell of a coaching job.
Really?
Really?
This is borderline disingenuous, since his team did have prime Tracy McGrady, and that Pistons team did not win the title that year. In fact, they didn't have Rasheed Wallace yet and had to change coaches to beat the Lakers in 2004.
Yeah, and honestly, that was a choke job. That was a choke job. I don't know what happened with that series because I think they did have Ben Wallace, but like this guy's saying now, they didn't have Rasheed Wallace or nothing like that. So, but yeah, interesting. Very very interesting.
Has always been what we used to call a player's coach, a former player who could connect with the
Now
roster.
now if he did have Grant Hill, Grant Hill was out. They would have won that series for sure. If Grant Hill before the ankle injury like that, want to say that 1998, 1999 Grant Hill, if he was playing in that series against the Pistons, they would have won that series for sure.
On a personal level and know how to motivate them since he was one of them.
Doc, do you think Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to be now?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now.
Oof.
So I don't know the answer to that.
But if he was willing to be this unsupportive of a starting guard in public, you have to wonder what he said to the team in private. Part of being this kind of player coach is to leave it to his players to quote unquote make the plays.
Yep.
And Rasheed Wallace gave us some insight, having played for Doc in Boston.
Get Glenn out of there. You got to get somebody in there that the players respect. He doesn't make adjustments. That's just from being in the locker room with him for that one season.
And I agree with him somewhat, but at the same time, man, these players, man, y'all gotta execute. Y'all can't sit there and keep bitching about the coaches. Like he's putting you in a position for you to win. He's giving you the minutes. He's expecting for you to, go ahead and come into camp in shape, come into camp focused, ready to go. Game 7, like it's time to go. You're saying the same plays over and over and over again. You know where it's coming at. Like, you know what you got to do. Like Ben Simmons, like, come on, man. Another guy that's underachieving and had all this praise that he was going to be so good and he's going to be the next LeBron and all this and all that. That dude is a bust, man.
Always be his biggest knock. If his team is up, you don't really have to coach shit then. When you in the trenches and you going against another team and another good coach, you got to be more than a locker room manager. He depends more on the players to make those adjustments. For that coach, also, you have to come
Yeah,
in.
and if you're a smart player, and you understand what it is that you're saying, then you're going to make the right adjustments. You know, I mean, yeah, he's going to manage the game, but y'all out there running the plays. The fuck? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm in between. Like Doc does deserve some blame, no doubt, no question. But a lot of the players do too. The players don't want to never be held accountable. Like I said, James Harden fizzled out in that series against Boston, and dude played terrible.
And make adjustments as well, especially if what you're trying hasn't worked. When we were in Boston, as far as the players out there on the floor, we were the one that made the adjustment. All right, come out the huddle. Right before we get on the floor, we huddle up like, all right, look, yo,
Nope.
hey, fuck that. We gonna do this, boom, 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 boom. For the way that Glenn is, he's not that hard-nosed coach that we need. Nobody wanted to believe me. Now look.
So if a guy who played for him is saying this, then perhaps Doc is tired and out of energy. And I don't blame him, considering he's continuously coached for 24 straight seasons, which is why he should be drinking
24 seasons and only won one championship. All right, let me get past this little advertisement joint. All right, here we go.
Los Angeles. It seemed almost every referee's call against his team was an affront to humanity, worthy of a big show of negative emotion that the players would feed off of, and it would completely affect their play. The true test of the coach's value is how his teams fare in the playoffs. And while his regular season winning record ranks 32nd in percentage, his playoff record is a bit closer to average. Of course, injuries have played a major role in some of his playoff runs.
What I
but
tell
that
y'all,
happens-
CP3, man, this dude, like when it comes to, things being tight, this dude gets hurt like almost every fucking time, yo. I swear.
To every coach. Doc has coached in a league leading 16 Game 7s throughout his career, and his record does not compare favorably to many of the great coaches.
Okay, let's look at this. So Doc Rivers' game coaching record, Game 7, 6-10 overall, 6-5 at home, 0-6 on the road. All right, so now they're comparing like Pat Riley 6-5, Phil Jackson 6-3, 5-0 at home, Red Auerbach 8-0, Greg Popovich 3-4, 2-1. So I mean, yeah, I mean he's like in the middle of the pack, I guess.
Even
Right?
at home, he barely broke 500, despite the home team winning over 75% of the time overall. Even worse, 10 of his 11 losses in Game 7s were blowouts. So I decided to examine the moment each of these games fell apart to see if there was a theme. It quickly became apparent that his teams consistently melted down amidst a flurry of turnovers, bad shots, and confounding defense.
Yep.
When the other
Agreed. Like I don't know what it, and this is where great coaching kind of comes in. Like you get your players focused. You got to rally the troops in, right? And you got to get them like, all right, look, we in this game. We gotta, you gotta get on that ass. Like, what the fuck? Y'all gonna get this game away. Like, y'all gotta get your mind right. So, but yeah, I think that's one of his weaknesses. He just can't really bring his guys in the way they can be like, all right, you know what? We gotta step it up because if not, we about to go home. So that's the only thing with him. Now, one thing with Phil Jackson, like he used to really do a great job with doing that. Even Greg Popovich, he was really good at doing that too. Like, not really giving up like big leads, especially Game 7. Like you shouldn't be getting blown out in Game 7.
team started to get going, they fell apart. For a coach who puts the fate of his team in the players' hands as much as Doc does, it's hard to ignore the through line of mental collapses that continually plagued his teams. And at some point, you've got to stop blaming the players and look to the sideline leader. Let's look at a bunch of his Game 7 losses because the evidence begins to
Great.
mount. We need to look no further than 3 days ago when they lost in grand fashion to the Celtics on the road, going small against the two bigs of the Celtics and exploiting the mismatch from behind the arc. But what we saw starting in the second quarter was a team that completely fell apart on both ends of the floor. Despite Harden spinning...
Man, James Harden's so overrated, yo. That man did all that dribbling to shoot a fucking air
Ground
ball,
all the way
yo.
around in transition, he not only just drops the
But you
ball
want to
in the
blame it on
bounds,
Doc,
but
though?
flails into Brown's face, earning him a
Look
deserved
at that.
foul.
Come
So
on,
the
yo.
potentially solid 9-point lead
The
is a
hell?
measly 4-point dogfight as Niang doesn't
And they
slow
was
down the
winning.
roll man and Tatum lobs for the easy dunk. But the unraveling continued in spectacular fashion as Maxey tries to throw a simple high post entry pass, but look where he bounces it. Not even midway between him and Harden.
Oh,
It was never open
man.
anyway as
Telegraphed
Brown dances
it.
on it and gets all the way to the hoop for a layup. The bottom began to fall out as Harden just dribbles into Robert Williams.
Like, at this point, as a coach, right? Now, Harden, dude, you're a veteran. You know, you played in big moments, all that, playoffs, regular season, whatever. I mean, the playoffs is a whole different animal, you know. But at this point, as a coach, I'm taking Harden out. Like, I got to get a guy in the game that's going to facilitate and not do all this goofy turnover bullshit, shooting air balls and shit like that. You know, Harden is so overrated. You know, and he's not. His basketball IQ is low. I'm sorry.
And on the other end, they were able to get back into defensive position okay, but at this point, Tatum already has 14 points and wants to get cooking. Why isn't PJ Tucker parking himself on that left block, with Embiid zoning up the backside with Williams in the dunker spot? As a result, he's not there when Tatum spins, and there's no help to stop the layup from going in. I have no problem with going down low to Embiid, although for the series, Horford had pretty much manhandled him one-on-one, and he promptly blows the little bunny hook. Before we continue documenting this meltdown, I want to take a trip back in time to a few other Game 7s that Doc has coached in, since there are a number that had similar results.
Oh yeah, I remember that. They had that Game
In
7
2003, while coaching the
against
Magic, they were
Atlanta.
hanging
They
tough until the
lost.
second quarter when they get into full scramble mode because they kind of double, but really DeClerc is just standing there, giving Tayshaun Prince a decent look. Tracy McGrady comes right back down and then blows this lob without any defensive pressure on him. Then they help foolishly from one pass away off the corner to the guy who had just catapulted one three-pointer in already, and he increases the lead to 7. And then a little bit later, they allow middle penetration way too easily, and it opens up a wide-open shot for Prince that just about ended the game here. These Game 7s are riddled with mistakes made from the pressure of the moment, more so than what Doc's opponents were doing. Let's cut to 2005 against the Pacers, where, just like in 03, this downward spiral starts by giving up a wide-open three-pointer, as Paul Pierce falls asleep and lets Stephen Jackson swish one to increase the lead. Next, Pierce comes off that pin down the left side, and Jackson just pokes it away, which forced him to foul in transition, where the Pacers got 2 more points from the foul line. It was Ricky Davis's turn.
Now I will say this: Pierce used to kind of be a knucklehead on certain plays, big plays too. You know what I mean? As time went on, he started getting a little bit better cerebral as far as being a cerebral player and not forcing the issue. But clearly, you know, you seen him forcing the issue. This was way before what was that, 2003 or whatever. So this is before they won the championship. And Paul Pierce, he wasn't really a great shooter. Like he could have been, you know, a little bit better. He started like picking his spots a lot better once he, you know, started being more of a seasoned vet.
A foolish wraparound pass with no space inside as the Celtics are unraveling before our eyes. A little later, when you need the defense to be on point, Delonte West decides to neither double nor guard his man, hovering in no man's land as they give up an easy layup, and this was before Tom Thibodeau got there to take over the side of the floor. They try to do it again with an almost equally ineffective double of the post. No one can get close to the shooter, and an 11-point lead in this game is practically a blowout. But it kept getting worse. There isn't anyone guarding Davis on the perimeter, yet he just forces this pass into the post on a terrible angle. And to end the game early in the fourth, they offer help on the ISO from the one guy you can't help off of. The pass is too easy, the shot too open, and it's another Game 7 blowout for a Doc coach team. We finally get to see HD footage by 2009 when Orlando ends the defending champ season in the second round. As a coach, I can't argue with the quality of shot they get, but this is Kendrick Perkins, who never met a blown layup he didn't like. It was interesting how a three-point shot set to start the meltdowns for
Kendrick
Doc
Perkins was a
Cemetery.
bum, yo. He couldn't fucking. That dude just was like, it's just so funny seeing a lot of these former players or whatever, like JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins and all that. Man, them dudes was, in my opinion, if they would have played in the '90s, they would have been cast offs. Like they wouldn't even got playing time. They would have been sitting at the end of the bench. They would have been like damn near um, ready to play in Europe or some shit. You know what I mean? Like once the NBA changed, like especially in 2005, once they changed like the hand checking and all that, and to kind of like speed up the game and make it more score wise or whatever, I guess you could say. That opened the floor up so much. That's why JJ Redick was able to stay around in the NBA for so long. That dude couldn't guard nobody. He couldn't even guard he couldn't guard his own damn shadow. That's how bad he was defensively. But he'll sit up there on ESPN and talk all this stuff. Like, dude, if anything, bro, Doc saved your career, bro. Because when you played for the Magic, you was trash, bro. You was not that at all. So
Game sevens. And this isn't terrible defense by Ray Allen, but Mikhail Petrus came to play. The Magic, with
yeah,
one
he
of the
was
really
good.
modern
He was
offenses with
good back
plenty
in
of
the day.
shooters and lots of attacking closeouts. So
So
credit to the Celtics defense for good rotations all around until Allen just fouls Courtney Lee as he's getting blown by for the and
he was
one.
good
The game
too.
is getting out of
He was
hand,
all
and
right.
you're at home, so a timeout was probably warranted, but at least during the free
Yeah.
throw, make sure
See,
ball
this is when
finishes
you
with
call a timeout. Like they was up by 10. Yeah. You know what I mean? You gotta call a timeout. Like, all right, let me get these guys together. But all right, we're gonna continue.
get his hands on the ball. Instead, it's a ridiculous Ricky Davis Kendrick Perkins pick and roll, and I'm just
All right.
embarrassed that Perk even tried this at the right freaking time. This might look
Yo, he
familiar to
pinned
many.
this. Like what? Oh, first of all, Perk, like, bro, like this man had no lift, no nothing, no athletic ability at all. And he's another one, man. Like he would come into camp out of shape, not really taking the game serious, none of that. But yet and still he'll sit on ESPN on these panels and talk all this stuff like he was like, bro, you was basically a fucking journeyman, bro. You was not. These guys gotta relax, man. When they be saying all these crazy outlandish takes, oh, Doc, they should fire Doc, bro. The White Howard just pinned your shit on the middle of the damn backboard, bro. Every play, like I don't even know why. This is what I'm saying. The adjustments, like I don't even know why uh they was even running any offense through Perk at all. Perk, just grab rebounds and play D, bro. That's it. That's all we need you to do. We are not running the offense through him. Or he had a little bit of a J or whatever, but I don't know, man. Maybe pick a pop and get Howard out the block or whatever, and then we could open the middle of the paint up for Pierce to cut or did they? I don't think they had Delonte West on this team. I think he did or whatever. But yeah, we can get Rondo to cut or whatever in the lane and get like easy buckets or whatever and get to the free throw line or something like that.
Hurried down court, forcing Perkins into a mismatch. And despite Lee doing a curling kneel impression from the Globetrotters, they catch two defenders rotating to the ball, and another drive to pull up, and the Celtics have cracked. They end it
Yep.
completely off this skip pass when all Big Baby has to do is catch the ball that's basically thrown right at him. Instead, Dwight makes it two free throws and the route is on. Over and over again, these are examples of what a team looks like when it's not very well coached. You may remember
Yep.
this slugfest in the
Agreed.
2010 finals,
It
and while it
comes
wasn't a
down. It
blowout,
comes
there were all
down
the
to that.
hallmark mistakes of a Doc coach team in a Game 7. Rondo helps one pass away off of Derek Fisher of all people, and a three is like 6 points in a low-scoring game like this one.
Yep.
But mental mistakes still happened. What in the world did Pierce think was going to happen with this fake attempt at taking a charge? How in the world?
That's what I be saying, man. Like these guys, they want to blame Doc, but bro, why? I don't know. It comes down to composure. Like as a player, like you know what I mean. You gotta have some type of composure. Like you can sit there and blame the coach and all you want. Like y'all are veterans, vets, 14 years in, 15 years in.
World can the Celtics screw up who they were
But
guarding?
yeah, I'm about to get
She
off here
wants
in
to
a little
guard
bit.
Powell, but that leaves Rondo and the 6'11 Lamar Odom, and KG has no idea where he's going, wandering around for several seconds and then not switching with Rondo. Now he's stuck dealing with Gasol on the roll, and there's no way Rondo is keeping him off the boards here after the Kobe miss. And this led to the free throws that ended the game. Wow. In the last game he coached for the Celtics, I can acknowledge they were outgunned versus the Heatles in 2012, but here we were anyway, in a Game 7 where anything could happen. And Paul Pierce lets Dwayne Wade just take his cookies from him. When you know that LeBron was A, going to ISO, and B, make the open pass, KG shouldn't be helping one pass away out the corner here. It's Pierce's help. So James makes the easy pass, and Bosch takes the easy shot to start the blowout.
Yeah.
The Celtics got a lot of mileage out of the Ray Allen ball screen for Pierce and the flare screen, but what is this spacing on the other side? Bass and Rondo bring their men right to the hoop to not only block the shot, but it goes out of bounds off of Pierce. They never really figured out how to get KG in proper help positions. He should have switched with Pierce here so he could be in the lane to try and stop LeBron. Instead, he shoots this one on the way down.
Man, look at that. Like, come on. The rotation's so slow.
LeBron guarding him. Pierce is smart not to try a lob. Why
Okay.
don't they flash in the high post to get a quick high-low pass to him? Instead, Rondo basically ends the game with this silly lob attempt that Bosch was all over the second he released it.
Yep.
And out of the timeout, Rondo doesn't run the play that was called, which was to get it to Pierce coming off his flare screen. He simply wasn't the guy you wanted creating the situation, and Bosch shows us why. It's the 2015 Clippers-Rockets series, and if we're talking meltdowns, this one was Doc's worst.
Yeah.
I mentioned Game 6 because the Clippers got outscored 51-20 over the final 15 minutes of the game after having a big lead, and that was without James Harden on the floor for a second of the fourth quarter. You could just see how the team was shell-shocked and broken amidst a cascade of mental mistakes that fed from one to the next. And while they hung tough till the third quarter of Game 7, the residual effects were about to end their season. As the Rockets bring DeAndre Jordan up in the pick and roll, Redick allows Harden to reject the screen, which means Jordan is out of position to protect the rim, and here we go again. Blake gets into the lane very deliberately, but tries a contested lefty jump hook, which misses wildly. I'm sure he was still thinking about it on the way back down instead of picking up.
Yeah, this is where, like I said, rallying your guys and, getting them composed. But like I said, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, uh, that whole team just couldn't handle pressure, man. JJ Redick, him running his fucking mouth, like, them guys couldn't handle pressure at all. Obviously, because the Clippers were better than the Rockets on paper. I think, in my opinion, I think you know Chris Paul is one of the best point guards of all time. But I don't know, man. This is why great there's great coaching and there's Hall of Fame coaching. Meaning, or great coaching and is winning coaching. Obviously, Doc is not bringing that winning style of coaching to the table because it's more than just X's and O's. It's also a mentality, having that mentality of being a winner. Like, yo, we way better than this team, man. We gotta get these boys up out of here. You know what I mean? On the road or at home, don't matter. We're the better team. We're gonna win this game. Yeah, and you gotta have that mentality.
The guy
right?
who would cut their hearts out in Game 6, leading to the wide open triple. Going through these games, you can just tell when it's happening, as Chris Paul throws this ridiculous pass out of bounds. It's hard to see the beginning of the play, but it takes way too long for the remaining three Clippers to hustle back down the court, and as a result, Jordan has left to guard Prigioni and Redick on Dwight. DJ doesn't even really help here, just puts himself in a terrible position for the easy pass out and wide open three. You'll often hear Doc say his teams didn't trust each other enough. Well, that's the coach's responsibility.
Yep.
As Blake's teammates leave him with no rotational support, and Smith scores again.
Yeah,
this was their last chance to do something with a call play from the sideline. If you don't think this was a team in panic mode based on this play, well, I don't really know what to tell you. And this is why they have coaches, to help their teams avoid these situations. And yet this Clippers...
My point exactly. Like I said, hey, this play is like busted, meaning it ain't clean. All right, as a head coach, bro, you gotta rally your guys in, especially your veterans. Like those are the guys. Like Chris Paul is an extension of Doc, meaning he's like the coach on the floor. So if Chris Paul is like all antsy and on the edge of his seat as far as execution, then that means Doc ain't doing his job. So shout out the ticket, but like I just some of the stuff I agree with him about, but then some of the stuff I didn't, because like I said, some of this is gonna have to fall on the coach. It's like if you trying to lose weight and you hire a personal assistant or a personal uh person to help you lose weight and they fat as shit. Like, are you gonna get advice from them? It's like Doc. Like Doc is frantic. He's got a frantic mindset. Like he doesn't perform. He doesn't coach well under a lot of pressure.
Would allow each mistake to build
So
to the next until the game was
yeah.
over early. Let me take you to the bubble, where another three-pointer sparks the run that turned a Doc Rivers coach Game 7 into a blowout loss. Immediately after, Paul George gets all the way to the rim but throws a 2-foot bounce pass while in the air, and Jokic easily steals it. On the way back down, everything seems okay as the defense sets up in good position, but Paul George and Pat Beverly are guarding the same person. PG sends Pat Bev to the weak side, but then doubles the post. Kawhi is frozen as the Nuggets get a wide open cut to the hoop. Down one, George falls asleep getting around a simple pin down, and Murray casually hits the three.
Damn.
It should be no
Yeah, I
surprise
remember
the
that.
Nuggets
That
love
was
to
a
hit
good
Murray's
game.
short roll from Murray, yet they decide to
But
rotate from the strong side corner. Kawhi
yeah,
falls asleep for a
total
step, and the
breakdown.
lead is growing. I'm
Yeah.
not sure why Montrezl Harrell was even playing at this point since he had been neutralized by Jokic, but here we are. And this time they do rotate properly out of the short roll, but Harrell was late recognizing he needed to contest the wing three, and the lead is 9. And their last gasp chance to get back in the game ends with a blown layup. They even almost get a big steal at the top of the key, but Murray is able to track it down and give him credit for hitting this tough one, but the Clippers never recover, scoring only 2 points in 7 minutes and losing by 15, which causes
Damn.
Doc to be fired from the Clippers. They quickly headed over to Philadelphia, and that first year, they're the #1 seed in the East, playing the 5th-seeded Hawks in the second round. Here's the moment.
All right, so I'm about to
Trae Young
get
hits
up
the
off
fine line,
here.
hits the 16-footer to cut the Sixers lead to 2 midway through the fourth. Then Herter pulls up over a much shorter Curry for another mini to tie it. They want to go down low in the post, but the only play they really run for him is a pin down for Curry and then turn around to post up, instead of some sort of cross screen or even rolling from a ball screen to the post. As a result, Capella can blow this up easily, and look where he has to go to get the ball. It's ridiculous they try to run the play again with no time on the shot clock, and Harris has to create something on his own and can't hit it. The Trae Young floater killed the Sixers all series long, primarily because Embiid wouldn't step up high enough to contest. And here he goes again on automatic pilot. They continued to leave Curry in for his shooting, but it meant that Herter could feast, as the smaller Curry just couldn't do anything more than this to stop him. And then we get to the infamous Simmons post-up. He gets a layup, but doesn't shoot it, so the Sixers only come away with 1 point from the 5-ball free throws. With the
Crazy.
Hawks left to chase down a loose ball, why is
Yeah,
Simmons chasing
Ben
Young out to the
just
half-court line? The only way to give them a chance to score is to pull yourself out of position like this, and the rest of the defense can't recover. Look at this ridiculous spacing as they don't get Embiid in the block, but hope he can create a good shot with his back to the basket from the elbow. He goes up weak and the end is near. As you have to wonder why Doc's team struggle to get big plays from the stars so
just
consistently.
every team just looks like scramble, scramble, scramble. Like, they're not even playing clean. Like they're not executing clean, like running their plays clean. They just like frantic on both sides of the floor. And it just look like they just trying to play like catch up. Cause I don't know, it's just the pressure, man. But yeah, I'm about to get off this joint, man. I think we've seen enough here. But is it the players' fault or Doc's fault? I blame both. But yeah, blame has to come down on Doc though, no question. But I'm about to get off here. Peace.